Hi, my name's Jason Gilmore, and I'm creator of a pretty cool website security, uptime, and SEO monitoring tool called SecurityBot. So, SecurityBot bundles together a lot of the monitoring solutions that I've found useful over the years for monitoring my own web applications. And if you head on over to securitybot.dev, and scroll down, you'll see a summary of all of the tools that are built into SecurityBot. So as an example, when building a web application, naturally you're going to want a SSL certificate to be associated with it. So all of the communications are secure. The challenge with SSL certificates is that they expire, right? So for example, Let's Encrypt certificates expire by default every 3 months. And of course, they can be renewed. But sometimes that renewal process, it might fail. Or if you're using another certificate solution that's not Let's Encrypt, you might have a more manual solution, or maybe you have a credit card tied to the whatever service is providing that certificate. And well, it can be easy to forget that the renewal date is coming up. And so what SecurityBot will do is it will monitor that certificate for you. It'll tell you about its status, and it will give you an expiration timeline telling you how many days are left before renewal is required. It also gives you some additional information about that certificate, and perhaps most importantly, SecurityBot will send you a Slack notification in accordance with a timeline that you set up, right? So, for example, if you want to be notified 30 days out, 15 days out, 5 days out, and 1 day out prior to expiration, you can define that within SecurityBot settings, right? So that's one great feature of the SecurityBot platform. And if I just go ahead and go back, I'll give you a quick tour of a few of the other options here. Another one would be DNS records, of course, right? So we're always managing various types of DNS records, CNAME, MX, A records, and so forth. And sometimes you just want a quick way to see without necessarily logging into maybe Cloudflare or wherever, just a way to see these DNS records along with other data associated with your web application. So I'll go ahead and click into this page, the summary page, to show you what an example looks like. And you can see here for the wjgilmore.com domain, we have a screenshot here that breaks down all of the DNS records according to type. And it even tells you a little bit more about the DNS provider, and presuming MX records are enabled, it tells you about the email provider as well. Right, so in this particular case, this is just a useful way to see a summary of all of the different types of DNS records associated with your domain. So let's take a look at another example, robots.txt analysis, right? Robots.txt is a very important file that sits in the public directory of your website. And what it does is it instructs crawlers, at telling them what you're letting them crawl. Hopefully they pay attention to that, what is disallowed. And perhaps more recently, this file is very important for instructing or perhaps even blocking AI-related crawlers. So if I go ahead and click into that, we'll take a look at a screenshot of the dashboard, and you can see SecurityBot will assign a health score based on a review of the robots.txt file. We can see it's been found, and then you can learn a little bit more about what it is blocking, what it is allowing, its location, and so forth. Right? So that's another great SecurityBot tool. And then moving down here towards the bottom, these are a few of my favorites. The broken link checker it'll scan your website and check for broken links, right? So I've run wjgilmore.com now for, believe it or not, I think 25 years. And of course, links can and do break over time, and it's nice to know when they break so you can quickly fix them. And that's what SecurityBot does for you. It will scan your site either according to a weekly schedule, or you can start a crawl on demand. And if you will scroll down here a little bit, you can see a screenshot from when I had a few errors on the site pointing to 403 forbidden links and even a 404. So it looks like a GitHub, maybe some GitHub documentation had probably been moved or maybe even deleted at some point, right? So you can export the findings as a CSV and then maybe give them to a colleague, or use it as a worksheet. So as you work through each of these broken links, you can go ahead and mark down, maybe by importing this into a Google Sheet, you can mark down the status, and then of course once fixed, when a new crawl runs, it of course won't find that broken link anymore. Next up, probably my favorite feature of SecurityBot so far, and that is the PageSpeed Insights Auditor. So I'll go ahead and scroll down here and talk about this. So PageSpeed Insights is a service that was created by Google at some point along the way, I believe. And what it does is it will measure the performance of a page on your website in multiple ways. It will assign a score from 0 to 100 of it. It's a performance assessment, accessibility, best practices, and then finally SEO. And it'll do this for both mobile and desktop. So there are a number of ways you can run a PageSpeed Insights report. One is by going to, I believe it's web.dev. Another is by actually opening the inspector in your Chrome browser and running what's called a lighthouse audit, which is basically the same thing. However, neither of these solutions will persist these results over time. So of course, higher is better, these numbers. And what you might want to do if you receive a low score, and many websites do in fact receive low scores, you might want to start making fixes over time to improve your score. So what SecurityBot will do is it'll run a scan for you, give you that real-time information, and then it will persist that information over time so you can watch your scores and see if they hopefully improve, right? So really, really cool feature. And you can run PageSpeed Insights audits anytime by clicking the Run Analysis Now button. And again, for both mobile and desktop, by the way. Finally, I'll just show you this before jumping into the dashboard for a quick moment. The MCP server. So an MCP server, if you're not aware, is a relatively new technology. MCP refers to Model Context Protocol. And what you can do with an MCP server is you can plug it into, among other things, your coding editor. So what the SecurityBot MCP server will do as a first release, this is available now, is it will make available the HTTP error codes, or the broken link codes associated with the broken link checker. It'll make those available to your MCP client, which again might be, for example, the Cursor coding editor. And once applied to your editor, you can ask Cursor to start fixing those broken links, right? So this provides a very, very fast way to detect, resolve, and then of course deploy those broken link fixes. So I'm very excited about the MCP server for SecurityBot, and I'm already using it to improve my own sites. So just one last example before we go. I'll go ahead and just jump into the dashboard. And this is my personal SecurityBot account, and you can see I'm tracking a number of other websites that I run. And if we go into WJ Gilmore, you'll see we have real-time access to all of these different types of metrics. Server status, I haven't even talked about that yet. And if I click on the service status link, you'll see we get this really cool chart that shows me the ping times over the last 24 hours, gives me a nice uptime graph. There have been no downtime events recorded, thankfully. And then finally, you can see the status history here. And in fact, this is probably the longest running site on SecurityBot. We've had 29,000 uptime checks, which is pretty cool, right? So I'll go ahead and go back. This is PageSpeed Insights. We already talked about that. Here's a number of other metrics that are tracked. There's a port scanner built into SecurityBot. We can check out the WHOIS information associated with this domain. Robots.txt analysis. There's also a security.txt analysis. Looks like I need to add a security.txt file to my site. There's a sitemap analyzer, broken link checker, as we've discussed, and the DNS record reviewer, right? So really, it's an action-packed tool. There's lots of great features built in, and it's very, very easy to configure. By the way, if I click Add New Site here on my dashboard, you'll see here we just give it a name. We give it the URL, of course, of the domain that you want to track. And then you're going to verify that site. You're going to verify it either by uploading a file containing a random string that SecurityBot will give you when you click Add Site, or you can add a DNS record. So these are both very typical ways for verifying site ownership. And when you do that, and by the way, when you click Add Site, it will give you instructions as well that you could email to a colleague if you don't know how to do this. Once you do that, SecurityBot will begin monitoring your site in no time. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at Jason, that's Jason, @ securitybot.dev.